Monday, March 4. On this date, Japan will be the first to report important statistics. At 1:50 a.m., the country will publish a report on the capital spending year-on-year. The indicator shows changes in the total value of capital expenditures of Japanese enterprises. It is a leading indicator of business conditions and the health of the economy. A value above the forecast is considered favorable for the Japanese yen exchange rate. At 9:30 a.m., Switzerland will publish the Consumer Price Index. The report shows the change in the cost of a fixed basket of goods and services in the reporting period compared to the previous one. The index shows how much citizens have to increase or decrease their spending to maintain the same amount of consumption. An increase in the index usually leads to an increase in the Swiss franc. Tuesday, March 5, South Korea will release its GDP growth report by 1 a.m. on Tuesday. Gross domestic product reflects the value of all goods and services produced in a country. The calculation takes into account private consumption, government spending, spending by all businesses, and net exports. GDP growth may have a positive impact on the South Korean won. By 5 p.m., players can check out the US Non-Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index. The report reflects business conditions and activity in the service sector in the country. The index is calculated based on the results of a survey of representatives of 375 companies from 17 industries in the non-manufacturing sector of the United States. It is an important indicator of the health of the economy, and the growth of the index is positively reflected on the American dollar. Wednesday, March 6. At 4:45 p.m., the Bank of Canada will announce its interest rate decision. This is the minimum interest rate at which the country's central bank lends to commercial financial institutions. If inflation is too high, the regulator raises the rate. If there is deflation, the regulator lowers it. It is also possible to keep the interest rate at the same level. If it increases, it favorably affects the exchange rate of the national currency. Traders may also be interested in the report on the JOLTS job openings. The publication is expected at 5 p.m. The calculation includes all vacancies that remain open on the last working day of the month in trade, production, and office spheres of the state. The statistical sample covers 16,000 businesses in the country. The increase in the number of vacancies favorably affects the dollar. Thursday, March 7. The first important statistical event on Thursday will be the European Central Bank's interest rate decision. Its publication is expected by 3:15 p.m. The decision on the size of the rate is made depending on the prevailing prospects for inflation and economic growth. This is one of the most important macroeconomic events in the Eurozone, which can affect the single currency. At 3:30 p.m., the US will publish data on the initial jobless claims. The report reflects the number of people who first applied to government agencies for unemployment benefits. In other words, the indicator reflects how many citizens lost their jobs during the reporting period. It is used to assess the state of the labor market and the overall health of the country's economy. Its rise could have a negative impact on the US dollar. Friday, March 8. On March 8, trading players may be interested in the GDP report in the Eurozone. The data is scheduled to be published at 12 p.m. Gross domestic product reflects the change in the total value of all goods and services produced in the Eurozone during the current quarter compared to the previous quarter. The data are seasonally adjusted. An increase in GDP may have a favorable effect on the euro. Finally, at 3:30 p.m. Canada will report the employment change. The report reflects the change in the number of full-time and part-time workers during the reporting period. The data for the calculation comes from the results of a regular nationwide population survey. A rise in full-time employment is generally interpreted as a favorable factor in the development of the economy.